Thank you for coming. Welcome to the January 24th council meeting. I'm shown at 7:35 p.m. Ms. Sarcisi, will you call the roll?
Mr. Barker.
Here.
Ms. Darrow.
Here.
Mr. Engel.
Here.
Mr. Martin. Here. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Mulner.
Here. Very good. I would like to ask our council president, Ken Martin, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after which I would like to ask Rita Darrow to say tonight's invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, let me know myself and let me know you. Grant that we may do your work. Please watch over us as we move forward in this new year to make the city a better place to live and to raise our families. Please watch over our armed forces and their family here at home and abroad. Amen. And I would also like to thank everyone that attended and sent thoughts and prayers to my boyfriend David and I for his mom, Miss Barbara Milstein. Thank you.
I'd like to also add before we sit down that I want to welcome back David Engel. He suffered a terrible loss in his family. Many of us knew Fran, your wife. She was an exceptional woman. We're going to miss her greatly. And I'd like just to have a brief moment of silence. Think about Fran. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Mayor, before we go on, may I say something?
Absolutely, Dan.
I would like to thank you, Ken, for those kind words. I'd like to express my thanks to everyone on council who came to pay respects, to Rita, who brought food, to Josephine, to the many directors who came. I appreciate all your support. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Next is the minutes from December 13, 2012 and January 10, 2012. Do I have a motion? Do I have changes? Would you like to accept?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I need to abstain from January 10.
So noted. Okay, next part of our meeting is...
Mr. Mayor?
Yes?
I'm sorry I keep interrupting. I need to make a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the Macedonia Financial Report for December 2012.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'll be quiet now, Mr. Mayor, for
That's all right.
for several
Anytime.
minutes, I hope.
Anytime, Dave. All right, the next section of the meeting is public comments. In order to speak, we ask you to sign in. We have quite a few people who would like to speak tonight. So remember that we have a 5-minute limit, and I will be timing. So first on the list tonight is John Kasmer. Don't worry, John, I start after you start talking.
I'm a little slow getting up here.
That's okay.
Thanks. Good evening. Good evening. I've got 6 points I want the city to hear and the residents to hear, and I've got 5 minutes, so I'm going to talk fast, and I have it written down. First of all, Longwood Manor Historical Society is an incorporated nonprofit organization. We exist whether the city recognizes us as a voluntary group or not. Our purpose is to preserve the history of Macedonia and the Longwood Manor. We're a viable group that has complied with Ordinance 11/2012, which I'm not going to get into. Longwood Manor members are 100% unpaid volunteers who have spent countless hours over the years on the manor. Number 2, we have a right to seek legal counsel on legal questions regarding the manor, as does any private citizen or group in this country. We sent another request for information to the city, this time requesting they produce the condemnation order on the house. We've never seen it. We've asked for it. It's supposed to be public information. Because of that, we question whether it exists. Number 3, the state requirement on change of use will be addressed if we get an extension as we've been requesting since December. Council hasn't taken any action yet. We have retained an architect. His name is David Smith. He's done work in the city. He knows how to do these types of plans. He's like the Fikes. He's like Fike Construction. He has made his costs reasonable to us so that we can afford them, as the Fikes have. We now have a couple contractors and an architect in that classification. So we appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks to David Smith also. Number 4, at the last council meeting, Council President Martin said he offered at Longwood Manor $300,000 for the manor repairs. We take that as a public acknowledgement that the city of Macedonia is responsible to maintain the house. I said at that time it would be wonderful if they would do that. But instead they had just passed an ordinance a few months before making us, a nonprofit group of volunteers, responsible for the repairs. That's scapegoating, in our opinion. Number 5, the city needs to honor its responsibility to the mayor, to the mayor's will, and repair the violations on its property, just as the city demands the residents do on their property. And you certainly don't need our permission to do that, or say you're offering anything. We're all for it. Lastly, number 6, the city already has an endowment for this house. The city already has an endowment for this house. The endowment is the 300 acres of land that they acquired along with the Longwood Manor when they accepted, which they accepted in the mayor's will in 1984. The service department uses the farm buildings. There was no construction expense for those buildings. The city built a recreation center, a very good recreation center on the land that they wouldn't otherwise have had. They probably would have had to buy land. I doubt if anyone else would have donated the acreage required for the rec center. There would have been no park and playing fields now for the residents to use. All of this we have because one man, our first mayor, gave this to us for free. He could have willed everything to his son, who was still alive then. He didn't do that. He wanted the residents of Macedonia to have it and to enjoy his house. Thank you.
John, could you please state your address, please? I forgot.
849 Chinook Trail.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the list this evening is Sylvia Hannikin. Sylvia?
Sylvia Hannikin, Hampton Drive, Macedonia. I'd like to comment tonight on 2 things. One is Ordinance 10, 2013, which basically is an attempt to regulate, or perhaps, and as I understood, at least in the first draft I have seen, is to prohibit the use of video recording during work sessions. Now I know during the work session tonight there's been some discussion about revisions. I'm just going to speak to the general issue then. Ohio has an Open Meetings Act and it has a Public Records Act, all of which are based on the premise that I'm going to quote from an Ohio Supreme Court Justice, Charles Zimmerman. The rule in Ohio is that public records are the people's records, and the officials in whose custody they happen to be are merely trustees for the people. That's kind of the standard for which Ohio approaches everything. And there's another quote here, which is also in the Yellow Book, from James Madison, one of our founding fathers. A popular government without popular information and the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy. Let me quote from the Public Records Open Meetings and the Open Meetings Act, audio and video recording. A public body cannot prohibit the public from audio or video recording of a public meeting. Now, not only is it fairly clear that you can't prohibit it, but certainly you can regulate it. For example, someone could not be standing right there and taking a video, but as long as it's unobtrusive, it should not be an issue. I think that the benefits from the recordings that I've been making and routinely putting on the maccivic.org website for the work sessions is that people see the actual discussion of the legislation, and they see what the opinions are behind the legislation and what people are saying about legislation. So not only is it the law that we shouldn't be prohibiting it, but it's actually a benefit to the people. So that was my thought on that. Now going to a second issue, and that relates to the Simon Kaplan property that has been rezoned to R2. And I posted something to the MacCivic website today about that. What I've been able to discover, because I went out on this Common Pleas Court website, is that the city of Macedonia agreed to a rezoning from R1 to R2 without a vote of the people. They did it as part of a court settlement that they agreed to with Simon Kaplan and Macedonian investors. Now, I think everybody who was there knows that, and I think anybody in the Planning Commission probably knew that. But that is why we're in the position we are to have to entertain this at this point. There was a vote in 2000 on that same property to change it from R1 to RSC, which is senior citizens housing. And that was approved in the whole city, but denied in that precinct. And according to the kind of rezoning from R1 that we have in our charter, that basically means that it didn't pass. So we never had R2 in the discussion. That was a concession that we made during this court case that went on, and a negotiated settlement occurred. I don't know what prevails in this situation, but I will tell you this. I've talked to a lot of people today about this, and they're telling me that the whole discussion on this was really behind closed doors, and they got very little out of it after the settlement that had occurred. I think that we owe it to the people, because we basically have referendum zoning with regard to R1. We owe it to the people to kind of explain what happened here and why we're looking at rental units being put in an area of the city, which is basically R1 zoning south of there. So that's my comments for tonight. Thank you.
All right, moving on to Jan Radigan.
Good evening. I'm Jan Radigan. I live on 1122 Ledge Road. I've been a resident of this town for 27 years. I've been a stay-at-home mom, which has always given me the opportunity to be a volunteer for anything. Basically, I volunteered for the schools, for Cub Scouts, for the Little Leagues, baseball, basketball. My husband was a coach for the NBA, so we've always been part of the community. After the kids graduated, I thought of starting my own business and went to the Business Expo at the high school. That is where I met Kathy Thomas. She's hard to say no to, she asked me to become a member of Longwood Manor, and I thought this was a great opportunity to give back to the city and continue my volunteer work. As long as I got to paint and do grunt work, so you've got a great person to help you. All I wanted to do was learn about the manor and the man, Mr. Long. I didn't get a chance to paint until last year, though. The house was condemned, and we continued to do our interviews and work on grants. There are no books, there are no classes or manuals on how to save a manor house. We did the best that we could. After all, we're all volunteers. A lot of good comes from a lot of good that happens in a city comes from volunteers, but they don't get paid, and they're rarely appreciated and often criticized. I was asked to tell you about some of the people that volunteered, and quite frankly, there's a lot. I don't have enough time to tell you about them. The main one that I came up with was Kathy Thomas. Without her, it wouldn't be here right now. The creators of the Longwood Manors website, they want to remain anonymous, but they built it, they paid for it, and they maintain it. Casa D'Angelo's, the Dollhouse, and other people have been financially supportive toward us. Howard Hanna, Macedonia Glass, Sherwin-Williams, Jackson Heating and Cooling, local restaurants, Fike Builders, Philip Mayfarth family, they've given us donations, and I did an interview with him, in fact, and found out that his family donated Sugarbush Park to Macedonia. In fact, his house is built on the rock from the quarry there. Other volunteers were Bob Hopkins, Heritage Ohio, the Hen Mansion Society, CHIPS, an organization for historical societies, Steve Nome, the Cleveland State students did a semester on the restoration of the manor. Reed Smucker from the Smuckers Corporation came here and looked at it and said it would be a tragedy to take it down. Danny and Jim Streb donated days of yard work. Young people like Waleed and other adults wanted to help but had to be turned away because of their age. A class of interior designers wanted to help and get involved as well. A lady and her niece from New Orleans came by and took over 1,500 photographs. Okay, our big event, okay, we had to make money. And again, we're volunteers. We're not very well trained at doing this stuff, but we did our best. Our big event was a Tie Yourself into History raffle at Chinese raffle at Panini's. The donations for that event were from Northfield Track, Kitchener's Lighting, George Shuba, who is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame photographer, and he donated a print of the Beatles. There were donations of computer software and their services. Wild Republic gave us cartons of toys. Barnum Beauty gave us baskets of beauty baskets. A poster was donated from a director that shot a film that was shot in Cleveland and was autographed by actors. Mike Olszewski, our local author, donated 2 of his books. I came to the event to sign them. We received a gift certificate from a local psychic, who we probably could use now. Longwood Manor contributed, the Longwood Manor contributed an article to be auctioned off, was a Christmas tree tie skirt, which was actually one of my things that I started. It was made from neckties from notable gentlemen. What we did was we asked gentlemen to send us their neckties, and we made a tie skirt out of it. The people that gave us ties were Jim Brickman, Edward Cochran, Fred Griffith, Robert J. Keegan, he's the executive chairman of the board of Goodyear Tire and Rubber, Steve LaTourette, Kurt Lobinger, Lou Maglio, Bill Martin, Tom Meyer, Michael Olszewski, Dominic Ozan, Lil John Rinaldi, the late John Rizzo, he was awarded the Purple Heart here and married by Mayor Long in the Manor House, Dick Russ, Sam Ratigliano, Jeff Saunders, our own journalist, Kevin Senagul Scarpino, Big Chuck Shadowski, Ricky Smith, he's the director of the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, Michael Stanley, Captain Tony Tarantino, he's a Goodwill ambassador of the Lake County Captains, Bob Houlihan Wells, you will remember him as Bob Houlihan the Weatherman, I guess, Dave Whitman, and Ken Yankee. In conclusion, I feel that the Manor House is a viable and unique structure and that all people can use it all year round. Thank you for the opportunity, and I think my shelf life as a volunteer is almost up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the list is Deb Mikulski.
Good evening. I live on Cranbrook in Northfield Village. Mayor Cookton and Council, my reasons for saving Longwood Manor is many-faceted, but as an educator, the house can be instrumental in creating a destination for local students, especially grade 4, to fulfill the nationwide Common Core that all across the United States is going into effect in different progressions. The curriculum standards for social studies for this Common Core is a local history and local government can be highlighted through this historical development with connections to Summit County, Ohio, and the United States. Students would explore the rights and responsibilities of citizens like Mayor Long and his predecessors, and such civic concepts as power, equality, justice, and citizenship. Scaffolding this learning will help 7th and 8th graders with the foundation for the social histories that they must learn in the Common Core. The house and grounds can be used by local school children to explore endangered species and wildlife in the park and explore the property. The manor can be developed and open to the public, which acquires, conserves, researches, communities, and exhibits for purposes of study, education, and enjoyment. The tangible and intangible evidence of people and their environment, if you will, a narrative of the people who live there, and tells a historic story of the area's social class and historic period from which it was built. The architecture, late Tudor style, is not common in this area, and the latest in modern design was used by Mayor Long. The woodwork and craftsmanship is still very evident and beautiful in the residence. Senior citizens would be able to meet in this facility with accommodating entrance and lavatories currently there. Small meetings and receptions would be held in the gardens, patio, library, and dining room. I have had to use Twinsburg, Atwater, Stowe, and Bedford's community rooms for baby showers, bridal showers, and graduations. The Manor House has hosted Christmas celebrations and fall festivals in the past. Volunteers are the foundation of the community, and we have tried using thousands of hours to create a reception museum from the Colonel's gift to the people of Macedonia and Nordonia Hills communities. How can a mayor and council treat its best resources, volunteers, for the benefit of the community? No amount of fundraising was going to help when it has been stated over and over that it would come down. No one would throw support in it if they thought it was useless. Was Mayor Long's intent of this gift to be argued about? The city has used parts of the property, created the Field of Dreams, the Two Cub Golf, and the Recreation Center. The bad luck will stop when the city accepts the house and property gift and gives back to the people a quiet, contemplative area of recreation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next on the list this evening is Dan Havlicek.
My name is Dan Havlicek. I live on Shepherd Road. I wear this hat today to remind every single one of you men and women why you're here and why you're free and why you can do what you want to do. We did it. We did it. Now, to get to the mayor, to get to the Mayor Long. I don't know if any of you knew, but that man served more than anyone in this room did. He served in not one, but 2 world wars. The man was enlisted in the Army in 1917. He was commissioned a captain in the Army. The Army became the Army Air Force. He was a fighter pilot in World War I. He commanded his own squadron in World War I. He saw many deaths, and he saw many injuries, and he saw much destruction. The man was also, what was Mayor Long? Well, Mayor Long was a businessman, successful, owned his own business. Mayor Long was a successful farmer, beekeeper, many of you don't know. Mayor Long was someone who believed in service, because Mayor Long was recalled in 1941, after he served in World War I, recalled to the United States to serve again. In this case, he served in a civilian capacity, although he was still a colonel. He served in a civilian capacity, and he served the United States until the end of World War II. How many in this room can say they've done that? And I can't. The man came out of World War II, and he decided he wanted to do more. So he was involved in many things that happened in Macedonia. He made Macedonia, Macedonia. He made the city what it is, what it was then. Okay? The only building remaining in Macedonia at the moment is the Longwood Manor. If we tear it down, that's the last historic building in the city. The manor house was a generous gift by the first mayor, William Frew Long, along with the 3,000 acres of land to the city of Macedonia and its residents, to be maintained by the city for the residents. Again, for the residents. The benefits we all enjoy on this recreation, the benefits we all enjoy are the recreation center, the 2-club golf course, the soccer fields, the baseball diamonds, and all the rest. St. Timothy's was one of his beneficiaries. He put the deed for their 5 acres in the collection basket when he went to St. Timothy's. That's why St. Timothy's is there. They couldn't afford the land. The mayor also had great relationships with the YMCA. So what did he do? When the YMCA came into Macedonia and asked to get some property, they couldn't afford what it cost for the kind of place they wanted to put up. Well, guess what? That old man came to their rescue and gave them the land that the YMCA now sits on. So the rec center is a gift of that old man. The YMCA, the 2-club golf course, the soccer and baseball fields. The man served until 1984. Well, he served, actually, he wasn't mayor till 84, but he served. And when he did pass away, he was the oldest Air Force officer in the United States. He was also the longest serving mayor in the country, as everyone knows. Colonel Long was overwhelmingly elected mayor in '62 at the age of 82. How many of us are going to be able to do what he did at 82? How many of us will be here at 82? He was reelected without opposition in '65 and again in '67. One day he was asked, "Mayor, why are you printing up what's necessary for the newsletters?" out of his own pocket. The mayor stated, "I have a paid salary of $1,800 a year, and that just about covers the cost of the letters that he mailed." So that $1,800 a year came out of the mayor's pocket. Some might say, well, he was a millionaire. He didn't have to do that. He did it. He was also a beekeeper. He said he learned a lot from bees. A lot of us may be able to learn a lot from bees if we studied them. He was also, as I said, a successful farmer. He tended to his farm. It was successful. He made money by it. Okay. He had a soft spot, as I said, for the YMCA, giving them their land, St. Timothy's. He was 96 years old when he retired as mayor. How many of us would even want the job if we could live to be 96, to take on the responsibilities of the city? I don't think many people in this room would do that. But he did it. He lived to be 104 years old, and he did much good for this city. To tear down his mansion and bulldoze it and say, "We don't care," is like spitting in that man's face. And I can't imagine a mayor or a council that would even consider such a terrible thing. And by the way, I should mention, because I've polled all of you, none of you served in the military, okay? Those of us who have served, again, that's why I wear this hat, know what it's like to serve something better and bigger than yourselves, because that's what we all have done. And I have served the Navy for 35 years. I'm proud to say that, and I'm angry and a little bit saddened that this even comes up, okay? It shouldn't have come up. And I think that we owe it to that man to do it. And as Mr. Kasmer said, we want to get an architect, but we don't have the money. We're an organization who's all volunteers. We've tried to get the money, but we haven't. We were told it would cost between $1,000 and $2,000 to have a professional architect do the plans that we are supposed to need to send down to the State House. I am asking that the members of this council consider funding us for that, to get an architect to do the plans right, and then give us the 18 months that we desperately need to keep this manor house standing. It will be a pillar. The people of Northfield Village, the people of Northfield Township love their Palmer House. And I've talked to members on both of those groups. They are very proud of their Palmer House. I ask you citizens and you council, let us restore the manor and let us have something that Macedonia is centered on. That's our legacy. Everyone here. I'm not going to go on any farther, even though I probably have more time, because this is a very emotional thing for me. But as I said, I believe strongly that we owe this man a great deal. And again, if it hadn't been for us, none of us would be here. We might be talking German or Japanese or Korean or Chinese or something else. We made it possible, ladies and gentlemen. We served. We believed in something bigger than ourselves, and still do. That's all I've got. Thank you.
I want to point out something. Mr. Havlicek, both of my sons served in Iraq.
That's commendable.
That's my first son, Hugh.
That's
His
commendable.
Humvee was hit by a roadside bomb, and he was going to be awarded a Purple Heart, but they decided to turn it down because they did not feel that their injuries were significant enough. My second son served in Iraq, and my second son was party to 2 explosions and an attack while he was manning a Humvee. My uncle served in the Korean War. My father served in World War II. My grandfather served in World War I. Some of us could not serve because of physical limitations that we have, because for one reason or another, we weren't allowed. But to somehow imply that those of us who haven't served in the military somehow aren't worthy, I don't think that that is a particularly an appropriate thing to do.
I don't
think he meant that.
That wasn't the intention at all.
Because both of my sons, if you can imagine, in 2004, when he was in Iraq, and my other son in 2008, when he was in Iraq, if you don't think that my wife and I went through some
I'm
very,
sure.
very stressful periods,
I'm sure you did.
and I tell you what, there's a whole group of kids out there right now who are coming home from that war, and they have done 2 and 3 and 4 missions. They've been out there in those campaigns, and these people, they deserve all the accolades in the world. They deserve all the help, and that's why, Mr. Havlicek, I'm in agreement with you that we need to really recognize our veterans. We really need to reward them, and we need never to forget about them.
Never.
Thank you.
And Mr. Martin, I should point out that our family has served since the Revolutionary War, okay? We've served in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the World War I, the Spanish-American War, World War II. My father was in the Navy in World War II. All my uncles were in the Navy in World War II. We served in Korea. My brother served in Vietnam. I served during Vietnam, okay? I didn't see combat, but that wasn't by my choice. That was by the Navy's choice, okay? I know what it's like. I was almost recalled twice for Desert Storm 1 and Desert Storm 2. My boss called me and said, pack your sea bag and get ready, because if they need you, you're going.
You know, Mr. Havlicek, I would have loved to have seen, I would have sicked you on the Iraqis. I bet you would have made them.
Trust me, I'm a black flag person when it comes to the enemies of the United States. Now, you 2 attorneys may not like that, but I am a strong believer in the America first, last, and always, okay? If that makes me a bad American, I'm sorry. But those of us who have served, and by the way, my son was sent to Bosnia and Herzegovina, okay? He is a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. He was sent there to evaluate the B-2 bomber when it first went into service, okay? That was a very dangerous place to be during the Bosnian War. They were shooting at everybody.
Thank
We
you
prayed
for your-
also,
Thank you,
Mr. Martin.
Havlicek.
God bless them.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Mayor, may I ask Mr. Havlicek a question?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to get into such a long...
I apologize. Maybe I'm long-winded.
No. All right. The cost for the architect is somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000?
We were told, yes,
All
sir.
right. How much funds do you guys have available?
We got about $1,000
All
right now.
Here's what I'm going to do, because I don't want this to die on the vine for want of $1,000. I keep getting checks from the city. I don't ask for the checks.
I know, sir.
Well, I
Very
ask
much-
I ask for my paychecks.
That's
But-
fair.
Thank you, but these are checks for, because I don't take insurance.
Yes, sir.
I look at them, I get mad, I throw them on my counter, and I haven't cashed any of them. I'm going to cash them, and I'll make up the difference between your 1,000 and the other 1,000.
Very commendable, sir.
Is that agreeable?
That's agreeable,
Go
I'm sure.
get the architect.
And that's
you know
very
what I'll do,
commendable.
you know what I'll do, Mr. Havlicek? I don't get as many checks as Mr. Engel.
We
He
won't
works
argue
for-
about
he
that.
he works for a big insurance company. But at any rate, I'll contribute $100 of my own money so you can get an architect, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Based on your passionate speech.
Oh, and by the way, sir, my wife and I have contributed $150. We're going to do more this year, assuming you give us the 18 months we need, we're going to do more.
Go get
I'm
the
retired.
architect, we'll talk.
Yeah. By the way, did you take Visa?
I wouldn't take Martin's visa if it's the
I'm
last
not,
visa
I'm
on
not
law.
going there. Mr. Engel, I'm not going there.
You're a wise man.
Thank you again.
Next on the list is Rose Casmer.
Hey, Rose, I'm sorry, 100 is my limit tonight, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you might have guessed, our group is so intent upon not seeing this manor house taken down that we've sort of staged a talk-in. People have sit-ins, but we're having, I guess what you'd say, is a talk-in tonight. My name is Rose Casmer. My husband is John Casmer, and I live on Chinook Trail in Macedonia. I just want to give my own personal reasons why I'd like to see the manor house saved. When I first came to Macedonia, it was a small village, and it didn't seem to have a whole lot of sense of community, but there was a thing in the paper about coming to the manor house, and they were going to have a Christmas party, and this was sponsored by the Manor Association. And I have always loved Tudor homes. I mean, that is my favorite type of architecture. When I first came here, I worked downtown at Cleveland State. Cleveland State has like the Mather Mash, and there's Fenn Hall, there's a university club. They all have all this great woodwork in it, and they're beautiful buildings. Well, I like the Manor House for this reason. I had a friend that lived in Lakewood. She lived on Lake Avenue, and they have a lot of Tudor homes there. They have Tudor homes in Shaker Heights. And I just found this unusual to find this type of Tudor home out in a rural area. And then after I got more involved with the Manor House, I learned that the first mayor actually lived in Cleveland, and he moved here for his country home, just like Firestones did, places in Brecksville, and also Mr. Eaton. So I just think it's a really nice piece of art. It's unique, it's unusual, and so what are we going to do with this piece of art? You know, other than just like people like me that like to look at this type of home. It to me could be a place, an extension to the recreation center where people have these small parties, you have receptions, that type of things. It's kind of like a unique landmark. It used to be part of the symbol of Macedonia. Now we replaced it with progress and buildings, but I don't really think that, you know, you're going to be able to replace anything like this. It's, you know, it was built with walls, you know, 6 or 7 inches thick. You know, you had the plasters to put up the wood laths, and then they laid plaster over it. And it's just a fun place to be. So I like it from that standpoint. I see the connection between it and Stan Heward. It's an historical era. There are farmhouses in Macedonia, but you don't find this type of, you know, city-type looking home in a rural set, what was then a rural setting. Now it's in a suburb. So I just encourage every one of you to, you know, allow us to have this extension. The mayor has asked the Manor Association to work on putting a tax revenue on the ballot, okay? I don't think, and I'm not real sure, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think we as a nonprofit organization can do that, okay? If the mayor and the city administration put this on the ballot, then I do everything I could to ask people to support it financially. But I think there might be other options, such as, you know, Macedonia doesn't put out too many fines that I'm aware of. It doesn't have a reputation for being a city that tickets everybody that's going. You know, you could have like Macedonia Ticket Day, where everybody, you know, you had your police bring in more money through fines, whatever, you know. That's kind of silly, but I think there's other ways you can raise revenue. So that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Mrs. Casimir, our prosecutor's there. You may want to talk to her.
Okay. Next on the list is Mark. Mark Zelesnik.
Hi, Mark Zelesnik, 1416 Elizabeth Lane. I like Macedonia. Lived here almost 4 decades. A lot of discussion about restoring the manor house. I just have one question. How would Macedonia benefit by tearing it down? Thanks.
All right. That concludes our public comments for this evening. I don't think you had any argument with anything that was said. Thanks for a good history lesson, Dan. I never knew half those things that you said, and I've lived here a long time. Somebody ought to put that into print. The Colonel did give 300 acres, not 3,000, just so everyone's aware of that. And we do have a historical building in Macedonia, another one, and it's an amazing story. It's on the corner of Route 8 and Route 82. It's the building that's the electric building there. That building was the North Ohio Power Company, and the Interurban Railroad ran right down Route 8, and that was a train station where people got on it. One of the things that was touched upon here tonight was funding, and funding is the problem as we go forward. So there's not really a...
Your time's not up, is it, Mary?
Yeah, my time's up, so I guess I got to stop. Very good. So funding is the problem. And when you have funding, you always have to deal with priorities. And other sources of revenue, boy, I'll tell you what, Rose, we'd love to find them because we keep looking for them constantly. I don't think there was anybody here that had any argument about the fact that that is a historical building and that it is an asset to have a beautiful historical building. The point tonight that we have to keep in mind is how do we get from point A to point B and get it to be that building? And that would require more money than the city has in order to do that, because it would have to be done at the sacrifice of some other services. Right now, we still don't have enough. Right now, we still don't have enough police. Right now, we could use more equipment. Right now, I could name you road after road after road after road that needs repairs. All right, so prioritizing is the reason we were brought to this point, not because we don't think the house is worth it. You talk about selling the Thai tree. I remember selling a tree for $125 to donate to the manor house that had spark plugs, wrenches, all those things on it. So, but those aren't enough to get us where we get to that point B. I don't think anybody here doesn't want point B. The problem is, how do we get there? Moving on, let's talk about pending or new legislation, starting with ordinance number 99-2012.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 99-2012 for its third reading by title only.
Second.
All in
An
favor?
ordinance, I
Sorry.
don't need that. Thank you. An ordinance requiring that all new all new ordinances and resolutions brought before council of the City of Macedonia include A, identification of the originator of the ordinance and/or resolution, and B, identification of a member of council sponsoring such ordinance and/or resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to amend ordinance number 99, 2012, create a new section 123.03C.
Correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All in favor? Oh, you all said that, you said that, did you? Okay.
I
Thank you.
move that we pass and post ordinance number 99, 2012, according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 99-2012 passes. Moving on to resolution number 4, 2013.
I'd like to offer resolution 4-2013 for its second and third reading by title only, please.
Okay, 1 second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution submitting the question of, you said, you did say second and third?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought, okay. A resolution submitting the question of a renewal of an existing 1 mil tax levy for the purpose of fire protection services and payment of permanent full-time firemen pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 5705.19I and 5705.191, and declaring an emergency.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post resolution 4-2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Before I vote, I just want to point out to everybody in the audience and anyone who may be listening and watching on television that this is not a new tax. This is only a renewal. It is dedicated entirely to the fire department. It is for, and if we do not renew this levy, and we've been renewing this levy for 30 years, I suppose, it's going to mean that we're going to have, the fire department is going to lose $400,000. So this is a very important piece of legislation. My vote is yes, but we need to start talking to the citizens so that they know that this is a renewal. We are not increasing your taxes, but we are guaranteeing that you'll continue to live in a city that has does have the very best fire department in this area, and it's not only fire, it's EMS, and we all know how important that is. So I vote yes.
Mr. Martin?
I'd just like to reiterate what Dave says. Voters need to approve this levy because that way you'll continue to enjoy the same protection you've received from our fire department, and it allows our EMS to continue to serve you in the exceptional manner that they have. Yes.
Mr. Miller?
It's important to note that this is a levy for our firefighters, not our firemen. Firemen start fires. Our firefighters put them out. They save lives. For 8 years, I've been trying to get the language corrected. I vote yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Resolution number 4-2013 passes. Tomorrow morning, it'll be headed down to the Board of Elections. Just an interesting point of view. Taxes cost you money, but our firemen save you money. How do they save you money? Because they have such a good rating, your fire insurance is less in Macedonia. So it's kind of like offsetting. Moving on to ordinance number 5-2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 5-2013 for its second reading by title only.
An ordinance amending Macedonia Recreation Center membership fee for improvement and maintenance of equipment.
Just want to point out there will be a Recreation Committee meeting Wednesday at the Rec Center at 7 p.m. to discuss, among other things, the provisions of this ordinance. Everyone is welcome to attend.
Moving on to ordinance number 6-2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance 6-2013 for its second reading by title only.
An ordinance amending the Business Regulation Code by adding new chapter 794 entitled Hotel and Motel Security and Safety.
Next is ordinance number 7-2013.
I'd like to offer for its second reading ordinance number 7, 2013, for its second reading.
An ordinance providing for the submission of the electors of the City of Macedonia proposed amendment to sections 401, 402, 303B1, 401, 408, 409, 410, 609, 705, 806, 905, 1004, 1102, 1204, 1306, 1307, 1402 of the Charter of the City, restoring the number of councilmen to 6, restoring the mayor's vote to break ties and related sections affected thereby.
Mr. Mayor, just want to point out that what this ordinance does, it allows more people to participate in our city government. It also gives the mayor an opportunity to be involved in legislation, which the mayor, being the head of the city, should have that opportunity.
Moving on to resolution number 8, 2013.
I'd like to offer Resolution 8, 2013 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Jessica Becker to the position of full-time dispatcher.
And what's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post Resolution 8, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Darrow,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mulner.
Yes.
Resolution number 8, 2013 passes. Jessica's here tonight with her family. Jessica, would you please stand up? I hate to put you on the spot. You know, Jessica comes from a family of dispatchers, huh? Tell us a little bit about your mom.
Well, my mom, Sonia, she started dispatching here in Macedonia. She also dispatched full-time in Broadview Heights, and now she is currently the chief's administrative assistant here.
Well, you are one very talented person, so I think it's in the genes. Could you introduce the rest of your family?
Yes. This is my good friend Jamie and Brian.
Hi.
My stepdad Bernie and my uncle Michael.
Good job. You're very good at what you're doing. We're very lucky to have you. Welcome to the family.
And I want to also thank the mayor and council for this opportunity. I was born and raised here in Macedonia, so it's a pleasure to work for the city.
Excellent. Next is ordinance number 9-2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 9, 2013 for first reading by title only.
An ordinance authorizing directing for the advertisement for bids for an electronic fingerprint time clock for use by city employees and creating section 161041 of the codified ordinances relating to the use thereof.
Moving on to ordinance number 10-2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 10, 2013, for its first reading by title only.
An ordinance amending section 12102 of the codified ordinances of the City of Macedonia adopting rules and regulations for the videotaping of council meetings.
Mr. Mayor, just want to make a brief comment. A resident commented earlier about this ordinance and quite obviously didn't understand it, for the reason that the United States Congress, the Ohio State Legislature, and every other legislative body regulates the videotaping, the taping of meetings. And this ordinance differs very little, if any, from any of them. And the thing to remember here is the resident presented this argument, so to speak, that the purpose of this ordinance is to prohibit or to somehow inhibit videotaping or audio recording. And that is simply not the case. This ordinance follows what other communities in Ohio have done and are doing, as well as what our Ohio State Legislature is doing, and even our Congress. So in that sense, all we're really doing is codifying what has already been approved by our state legislature and by other communities. And what we're doing is we are taking this through first reading so we can get comment, make changes, and come up with a good ordinance that will very much allow people to videotape and make audio recordings of our meetings, but at the same time, we'll make sure that they'll be able to do it in a fashion so we conduct our meetings in an orderly fashion and that there's no interference with those who are attending the meetings and who are not videotaping or recording. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, are there any other motions or legislative actions this evening?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to extend the Longwood Manor House deadline for providing paperwork in order to not only to protect the city from for unforeseen problems at this point, and our building department and our park recreation department, and also to give them the time that they need to, at their change of use from residential to potentially public use of the building.
Ms. Arcisi, since we, I think this was an ordinance that we did last year, do we need another ordinance to extend it, or can it be done just by motion?
I don't know. The ordinance sundowns at the end of February. I could probably pull that number. I could, if you want, if Mr. Miller would like to cite the number, and then you could ratify it later, or however.
You know, what I would much prefer, Mark, is that
I could pull
perhaps
it
you
re-
research this issue and come up with a specific piece of legislation, because I noticed when Mr. Miller made his motion, he just said he wanted an extension. He didn't mention a specific number of months. So, Mike, if you could just be a little bit patient, I'll let the law department take a look at it. We can come up with a piece of written legislation that you can present to council. Would that be okay?
That sounds wonderful.
Thank you. So, Mr. Miller, then I understand you're withdrawing that motion then, and we will revisit it at the next meeting.
As long as our next meeting would not cause the extension to be expired.
I don't think that's the case.
We
End
have
of
till the end
February.
of
It's,
it.
Two more meetings. Yeah.
pardon me, it's the last, it's actually March 1st, but the month ends February 28th.
Yeah.
I can pull that ordinance, get it to you.
So, Mark, if you can present that to us at our next council meeting, I would much appreciate it. Thank you.
And if you'd also change the language to say firefighter instead of fireman.
Oh,
The
that's,
firemen put coal in the engine and they start fires. But firefighters normally don't
it's code
start
language.
fires.
It's Ohio Revised Code language.
Are there any other motions or legislative actions this evening?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the finance director to reopen the fund. And I think we need to rename it for Macedonia Family Days 2013. Been a lot of conversation. Last year we all sat down, we talked about putting this back into play, and here we are, so.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Are we gonna put an amount in there?
I was getting there.
Okay.
I want to be real careful when we talk about this because, you know, obviously we hope to recoup a lot of the funds. Not guaranteed, we hope, but not guaranteed. The amount that we worked off of last year, I believe, was around $50,000. So we hope to get a lot of that money back, but I want to point out something that happened last year. The mayor and I were attending the, Angela, help me on this, the movie in the park. And I gotta tell you, I have not felt that good about our town in a long, long time. There had to be 2,000 people there,
At least.
happy, smiling, community. That's what I want back. That's the Macedonia I remember. It'd be great for the Manor House for people to see it, point out all the things that we want to work on. I think it's nothing but good stuff.
Do you think that it's